looks like live Hashin Hajimete. Or whatever. Actually clicked the button this time. That's good. I don't really know Japanese all that well. My YouTube's in Japanese. I kind of want it that way so I don't forget what I've learned, and it's not really all that useful. It makes some things kind of difficult, but you know, as an American, I speak English, and we don't. You know, so does everybody in Europe, but it is kind of interesting to experience the internet from a different perspective. So a lot of unconventional things like that you get a feel for by doing weird things like setting your phone in a different language or setting certain apps in a different language. It's kind of dumb. Sometimes you need to have a technical understanding of what those things mean. It can make things like temporarily difficult, but I would rather difficult things be easy. Anyway, so like what I'm going to do here is try to summarize what I had done from the last stream, and then the first thing on today's tangent stack is yeah. I'd like to set up a org capture template to append things to the tangent stack. It's kind of critical. Because otherwise people are going to get really confused. So hopefully I'll be able to set up a template for that. Right, yeah, capture today. This is today's org-crypt daily. So I normally just hit Control-C NRD. If I want to search for date, that would be D after that, and then that's going to be today, and we're already in today's node. So I'm going to find out what happens here if I capture directly. Oh, whoops. So this may be what I use. I don't know. The org-crypt capture templates are set up a little bit differently than the other capture templates. So I'll just see what is the next thing. The next thing is, well, demonstrate configuring luarc.json we're going to hit Control-C, Control-C. That's how you win. If you don't use this, don't use org agenda. One thing that's very clear is, and this is technically from the other day, one thing that's really important to keep in mind with org mode is that you have org, right? And then you have org agenda, and then you have org-crypt. These are three very different things. You got org the language, you can use org anywhere, and you've got org agenda, and you really have to think about how you're going to use that. And then you've got the org-crypt, and org-crypt's good for notes. I would not put my agenda items in there, but the thing about org is that it is a personal information management system, a PIM, and a personal information management system is personal. So how you use it is up to you. You have to construct your own system. Migrating from system to system is expensive. You might do better with Trello. You might want to split some of your life into Google Tasks or something, and then some of your tasks and some of your workflow into org agenda. You don't really want to do everything everywhere because it's really confusing. So you really have to think about things ahead of time. It's been really hard for me to use this. So one variable is, let's see, org agenda files. It's right at the top because I clicked it earlier in the session. Now we have yesterday's, or the last stream's org agenda here. So I'm going to go to that. Oops. And I'm probably not going to focus too much on like trying to teach the keybinds. And so here I had imported some Gemini stuff into org because I wanted to use this as an outline. Oh, right, yep, here's one for the tangent stack that I kind of came across. Let's see, demo, I like to keep my words short. More stuff on one line. All right, so I gotta think of the function. Yeah, decrypt entry. GPG list packets. All right, because what I'm doing here is I'm like providing links to Gemini stuff. But I don't really want all those links are public. Once you share them, they're shared, right? So I don't want, I mean, we don't know how the LLM stuff is gonna really be able to reconstruct things from the past in the future. So I'd like to be able to find, I'd like my personal information management system and my personal note system to really be where the text lives or where the data lives. So you know, there's nice features in org agenda, or sorry, in Gemini or whatever for keeping track of things. All right, here we go. There's some nice features here. One of the features I don't like, you know, your Control F is not going to get you to the menu up here because it's a fucking hamburger. So I can't jump up here with the. Uh-oh. I can't jump up here if the menu is closed. Whoops, I don't want a new chat. Why is it gone? Why is it hiding? Oh boy. Oh, there we go. All right, so I had asked some questions about how do I run a nested Hyprland instance, and I guess that is something I should kind of cover. And the gotchas include like BDSM app. And the other gotcha is keyboard rebinding. So if I could bind the keyboard hardware directly to that Hyprland input via the Hyprland input config, then what I can do is basically launch another Wayland compositor within the Wayland compositor. Whoops. And then I can hack away at the Lua config and just see what it does. But if both the Hyprland instances, so I'm assuming that Hyprland is only going to pass keyboard processing into the second instance if the instance is has keyboard focus. But that's going to be kind of complicated because the Hyprland does some interesting things with keyboard handling that only a handful of applications really do to that extent. And there's a couple applications in Linux generally that handle keyboard input in a different way. One of them is Emacs. Emacs has some kind of different keyboard wizardry. So you'll just sort of notice occasionally that it's going to capture keyboard input that in different window managers slightly differently, because it just depends on how the top level compositor grabs keyboard handling and passes it through. So it happens, it plays out differently on KDE as it does on Hyprland. So Hyprland is the second application or context in which keyboard handling is slightly different and more comprehensive. Another application is Blender. Blender is going to Blender does something different. I don't know what it is. It might use SDL. I'm not really sure. I don't know. But anyway, so I was going to cover the gotchas, and I guess I have. So now I can check that box, and we're done. And anyway, so if I come across any new tangent stacks, then I'm going to put it in here. Yeah, so that's that. I think this is legible. I guess I'll probably, I'm going to probably split this one out, because this one's a little bit more important for people to be able to read, I guess. And anyway, let me go ahead and cover the Gemini stuff, how I'm handling this. So I've got org-crypt set up. Let's see, I'm going to look up. I set up these functions in here in my Emacs config. And I like using GPG. GPG is a little bit harder to use. Most people are using SSH agent directly. I use the SSH agent that is, and this is what Lisp programmers like about Lisp, by the way. The parentheses are awesome, right? Because I can just bounce around here, and if I want to go here, oh, where do I want to go? Anywhere, I'm going to press this. Now I'm here. Look at that. Now where do I want to go? There. Oh, there I am. And now where do I want to go? I'm going to go here. Hey, look at this. This is a fixed point, QA. QA always at the top level. We like that, right? So like if I'm in the middle of the Lisp expression, QA, whoops, and then now I'm not, right? So if I want to do this, let's say QC, oh no, we'll go, let's say we want to move these lambdas around, right? So this is a map car under the closure kind of arrow operator. And so let's say we want this one to go down. I can hit T and then M. Oh, it put the S expression inside it. It's not really what we want, so we'll put it back here. It's not perfect, so but you do get the WADS keys, right? And so I kind of want this to format back correctly, so I can hit one line, then hit multi-line, and now we're back to where it was. We like that, right? You don't really get that with other languages. I'm surprised I don't see it more with Vim, because I'm pretty sure Vim can use its key bindings, and this actually uses Vim. This package is lispy. Anyway, so what this does is so one of the things that will sort of give you away as a noob if you're using GPG is that you don't really care about what you only care about one GPG context. So you've got this variable, let's see, you've got this variable GNUPG home. It's probably in GPG conf. Normally it will default to your GNUPG directory or whatever, but you could set it as a command flag or an environment variable. And anyway, so we kind of care about being able to have different options for crypto for different contexts. So I might want to encrypt this message to multiple people, right? I might want to restrict the recipients. I might want to encrypt a message with multiple subkeys to sort of future-proof. That doesn't necessarily work because it's like hard to add a subkey to a GPG keyring, or not a keyring, but to a GPG identity without most clients picking the most recent key added, most recent encryption key added to encrypt to. So then if you add to the subkey, if you add to the GPG identity, if you add an encryption subkey to the GPG identity, it's going to encrypt. Other people that are trying to talk to you are going to encrypt to that subkey. So like that's one of the that's another way that's a good interview question or whatever. Like the first one's kind of a good interview question if you're concerned about GPG, because like people need to, like everybody pretty much has some familiarity with GPG, but not everybody will really care so much about like having more control over the context. And the second good encryption, the second good interview question would be like, now I've forgotten. Anyway, so, managing information that you've already encrypted. So like eventually you're going to have to add another subkey to your GPG identity. And so when you do that, everything that you've encrypted to yourself is now, like if you're using a smart card or like a YubiKey, I don't know, I've got one right here. Oh, I've got one right there. If you're using a smart card, that means that you can, for a YubiKey, you can only have one subkey on the smart card. So you got to do this like pain in the ass, like air-gapped computer stuff to do that. So like, for me, what I do is I have, there's a way for me to find all the paths on my computer that are GPG encrypted, and I just find them all, and then I've got a script that will decrypt and then re-encrypt. And I try to write the script so that it doesn't create temporary files, but that's kind of a pain in the ass. But basically, like if you understand file paths, then like you can always have like a nested set of file paths, and like the Emacs autosave is a good example of this. This file path thing. Let me add this to the old tangent stack. Whoops. Hold on. Oops, I gotta figure out what this keyboard, explain, using file paths. Okay. And then we're going to go to that agenda item real quick. So, right. Right, so like any file path, trying to think of a good way to do this. let's say like I've got some kind of module namespace. Okay. All right, so I've got all these files, right? These are all my Nix files in my home directory. Now let's say I want to kind of like process each one, but separately. And let's just pretend like all these are GPG encrypted or whatever. So right now I'm going to transform this to a file tree. Oh, what the hell? How's it doing that? Okay, 1 second. Oh, fuck. Never do math in public. Oh, crap. It's like refonifying everything. Oh, because, oh, I know what it did. They're hidden files. So tree does not display hidden files. So like we've got this file tree, right? And it's big, and it's like a little too big, so we're gonna pretend like this directory doesn't exist, this directory doesn't exist, and it's just the modules without maybe, oh, whatever. Alright, so, alright, now I've turned follow mode on. So anyway, like the nice thing here, like, so if these were all GPG encrypted files, like basically like I can take all of these files and instead of the path delimiter being slash, the path delimiter could be like an exclamation point, right? And so let me get back to that real quick. Oop. Right, so like instead of the path delimiter being slash, the path delimiter could be exclamation point. Oop. Right, and so now we've effectively preserved all the information in the file tree. But everything's in one directory, so we don't have to create directories, which is nice. And then later we can reconvert the hash bang or whatever the bang, the exclamation point, back into a file tree, so that we could take one set of files and we could either move it to like a set of subdirectories where all the files are the same, where the file paths are the same. They have the same shape, and then decrypt them, re-encrypt them, or we'll source the original subdirectories and then recrypt them to a new set of directories to make sure that everything's okay, and then go back and replace all the GPG files with the updated GPG identity. And we can actually add the new subkey as a second identity to encrypt to, so that when my GPG tries to encrypt something using an old key or a new key, it will always succeed. That is really complicated. So anyway, kind of a good interview question, I think, because it means that somebody's been using GPG for long enough to have encountered that problem. It's definitely a problem to encounter. And it's just, there's practical usage things that you won't get to till later. So here we have the it's org-crypt thing here. I got a headline with the crypt tag, and if you turn org-crypt on, you can take this and run org-decrypt entry, right? And we're going to see that we have a link here. And we're also going to see that we got a SHA, right? Why do I have a SHA here? Because there's too much preserved information. Like there's only however many bytes. I don't know how many bytes that is. 12 bytes of data that's different. So I don't want to encrypt this all the time. So what I might want to do instead is, or what I want to do, because I'm paranoid, is generate a SHA, basically. And this just adds enough randomness so that, and with org-crypt, when you save, it will update this. Now, there's a lot of information or data that gets kind of cached and scrolled away in different places in Emacs, so you kind of got to be careful. This is not perfect, but it's fine for me because I'm not overly concerned about it, but I do kind of care. And anyway, the emacs-lisp functions here basically allowed me to search for the list of identities using the EPA and EPG native, using Emacs native functionality for handling keys, and and basically it's going to give me a so I created a function where I can change the behavior to allow me to pick a different GPG identity if I wanted to encrypt it to. Just because, like, I mean, it's not really like that valuable for this context, but I do generally want to know a little bit more about doing, like, I want the hard stuff to be easy, and maybe not easy, but I don't want the first time that I do something difficult to be the first time that I do something difficult. So, and that's just kind of a general rule. Anyway, so that's how I sort of handle that. Now I can sort of like take org notes and then manage to sort of keep the Gemini or LLM. It could be another LLM, and I added a URL LLM task up here. So if I want to find all of these, I just go URL LLM, and here's all the places where I've used this. I haven't used it very much. I've known about the org-crypt stuff for a long time, but if I want to find all the links to any LLM content that would have influenced the content that I put in my notes, it will be here. I don't really want any direct, like, I don't want LLM to generate content for my notes. My notes are mine. It's part of a process that I'm using to sort of keep track of, like, what I'm thinking while I'm doing it, and a lot of it just like, so like, let's say like I can't remember the command flag that JQ wants so that it acts right? So I'm like, what is that command flag? So I'm gonna search here. I'm gonna be like src JQ. Like there's a couple that throw me off. Like when I'm doing org babel, like I want to. Sometimes I want to do a standard in. Standard in allows me to pull something in from, so I could define something here like in Repology project. That would be down here. Whoops. So this is like, this is an API call, and it's going to return JSON every time I run it. And then up here, this is a JQ query. And this is a good one. So like, why would I use, look at this. Why would I use Aleph? And it's because it's a funny like pun on countability, I guess. But I basically wanted to take, like, because like what this is let's see, I'm pretty sure I did something and I produced, it produces a nested JSON schema where like items in a JSON schema can include other items with similar shapes. And so it's like a nested tree of trees. And like, I don't care about all that. And it's a little bit too much to process all at once. So instead I just replaced like some character with Aleph. And then I could get the the motif or shape that is like repeated throughout the tree of subtrees or whatever. So I just replaced this this identifier, I guess, in the URLs, and then I did sort unique, which is a clever combo, and then joined everything and created multiple lines, and then I took that and I ran tree on it or whatever, and got like, so this motif gets repeated throughout here. But anyway, so like I can't remember this -r thing, which is important, but sometimes I can't remember it. So, but now because I've used it frequently, it's in my notes. I remember having done it, which is really important. So if LLM does it, I'm not gonna remember what LLM did. I'm just not. So that's a thing that I do. It's like I don't know. I just don't really want, like, if I encountered other notes and it was like obviously LLM, I'm not really going to take it so seriously. And it's not really about that, but it's really just kind of about me personally. Like, if I type it in, and like if I draw it out with pencil and paper, I'm definitely going to remember it and remember what it looked like. I could recall from memory where on the page it is. Typing it out, I don't get as many benefits to that, or as many of those like same benefits to memory encoding. But I want to do a little bit of work, not too much work, in order to remember things better. Anyway, so that's that tangent. Let's go back here, and we're gonna shift right. Oh, whoops. Well, shift left maybe. Nope. There we go. We're done. We did it. It's done. Another way to do that. Just hit CC, I think. No. CT. Control C, Control T. And we are done. A nice little timestamp here. If you're seeing a lot of these with a lot of these, that means somebody's actually using org agenda. But you don't actually see a lot of org agenda in people's files online, which is kind of why I'm doing this kind of like in an authentic way or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Because like you see a lot of explainers and they explain how, but they don't necessarily explain why, and they don't want to expose their personal information online. And it's a personal information management system. So like, and like one place where you will see this is, like, let's see. This guy's packages. Boom. Wow. Anyway, Alpha Papa's packages, sometimes you'll see some of the org agenda stuff in there. Yeah, see. So, oh, whoops. Anyway. Yeah, we don't care. All right. Oh, yeah, and let's say like I wanted to get some Gemini output real quick. I'll cover this real quick so I can mark that as done. So let's say I've got this response, but it's just not in org mode. So I'm going to click copy response. It's going to give me markdown as God intended. And I'm going to put it in here, right? Oh no, we got markdown in our org mode. Let me do it in the scratch buffer. Yeah. Anyway, so here's our markdown. All right. And let's say like, whoop. Let's say I want to copy this down here in a new context. So this is pretty cool because it doesn't matter what context it's in. Oop. So I'm going to highlight this, my favorite little command, Control U, meta shift pipe, and then I'm going to search for pandoc. Right, we're going to go to org from markdown and Boom. Now it does give you these property tags, which are a little bit annoying, but you just hide all of those. And then now we have our LLM response in org mode. Anyway, kind of a waste of time, but so what I wanted to cover here was converting from Hyprland's configuration to the new Lua configuration. And so I asked it, what did I ask it? How can I run Hyprland within Hyprland? It said run a nested instance of Hyprland, blah blah blah, but you need to explicitly point the nested instance to a separate configuration file, otherwise it'll load your main config. So then it tells me sort of how to do that, and how to use command flags. That's nice. And then and I haven't tried this yet, but it is like, it's useful for Hyprland developers because you can develop Hyprland and then run it inside a nested config. One way to do this, let's see, using a separate modifier flag or modifier key. So XKB has this stuff. Open up my org or my hyperlink config. Actually, I'm not going to do that. Let me go over here. No, I want to go to XKB. XKB. This stuff is like super complicated, right? Let me look at the file tree. Oops. Right, so we got a file tree here, and we got some evdev, confusing, and we got some other evdev, also confusing. Evdev.xml is going to be for your like applications, and it's going to be for libxkb common, so that it can like sort of be aware of how evdev is configured. And then this evdev.xml needs to match the evdev configuration. So if I go in here to rules, evdev.xml is like how the applications will sort of search for options that they need to be aware of. So like your KDE keyboard configuration is going to hit this XML file, which, oh, look at this, my favorite command here. We're going to do xq right. Nope. Right, it's giving us JQ, so now we're going to do right. So this is the XML converted to YAML. And we're going to change it to YAML mode so it's less confusing. Anyway, so yeah, your applications are going to search here for these different options. These are all custom options that I've added. These options need to match what's in evdev. And evdev is like basically bundling up all your custom options, and it's really sensitive to problems. I can't remember if this is KM. I can't. XKB has two main configuration formats. And see, most people don't use XKB because they just use QMK, but now you're kind of screwed if you don't have your keyboard. And I say that because I have a $10 keyboard. Here it is. It's a $10 keyboard. Oh boy. Anyway, so this is convenient because, like, as long as I can import my settings, I can have my keyboard configuration kind of wherever I want to go, as long as the keyboard is generic enough. The problem is these like stupid function keys. I hate these things because they're like, they call us ghost keys, ghost key combinations, because the circuitry does not really make all keyboard combinations equivalent. So sometimes you get different modifier keyboard combinations here with the function keys and slightly different modifier behavior, and it's really difficult to figure that out. So like configuring this stuff on a laptop is not so great. But anyway, so what I did was I configured a LVL5 and an LVL3 modifier, and confusingly LVL3 is going to map to mod5 and LVL5 is going to map to mod3. And these are modifier keys which are not used on most keyboards because they don't exist, which is nice because like caps lock, we can now make them whatever the fuck we want. So I use these keys for my Hyprland configuration, so this doesn't really apply to me. But with LVL5, I get an alt-great. That's how I hit the extra language symbols and diacritics. Yeah, I think I've said that right. Anyway, so one of them I use for diacritics and for the alt-great international keyboard layout. The other one I use for the mod3 modifier, which like for me is insert, because insert is just like caps lock. Insert is a fairly useless key, which is great because that means I could use it for something else, right? There's a purpose to everything. The purpose of caps lock is that you now, you now get to remap your keys to whatever you want. That's the telos with the caps lock. Seems pointless, but you get a free key that you can make whatever you want. So insert, I turned it into a modifier key, and on my laptop I have to trigger it by rebinding a function key combination. But this makes it a little bit, so like you'll notice up here in the top, we have 24 workspaces, and I'm not using them all over here on this monitor. I've got 1, 5, so all my odds from 0 to 10 are over here, and on the monitor above it there's evens from 0 to 10, and this monitor in the middle is a vertical, so that's got 9, 10, 19, 20, and maybe 1 or 2 other ones. That's where my OBS layout is right now. So anyways, where was I actually? Oh, that was, no, all right, I already have this open somewhere else. Here it is. Anyway, so I've got this configured for an extra modifier key. And the whole point of this tangent stack frame in the old tangent stack is that if you wanted to, instead of binding super in the config layout that you're trying to test, you could bind insert to mod3, and then your modifier keys can, oh, I just thought of something. This is why we use Emacs. So capture, right? So oh shit. So anyway, what was I gonna do here? Fuck. Alright, well, if I remember, then I'll remember. Anyway, so, oh, right, yeah. This is the whole point here. So I'm going to demo using watch-exec to test Hyprland's Lua configuration, but and hopefully the AI processing for the chapters can keep track of this. Because I'm gonna say I'm doing this for like 5 seconds, and then I'm gonna come back and like 20 minutes later, and I'm gonna be switching. There's a lot of tangents. Anyway, so you could use a separate modifier key to test a slightly different hyperlink configuration when you run a nested hyperlink session. But you got to watch out for the UWSM thing, because you'll be crashing your session all the time. That's no fun. But what I've heard is that people in Gentoo will build from a branch or a pull request, like a version of Hyprland, and then I'm assuming that they are doing this like all the time. And it's explained in the docs, but it like there's a little bit of missing information, because primarily I think it's like it's like one of those things where like I'm assuming there's gonna be all these problems, and then maybe I just need to try it, and the problems that I'm sort of like imagining in my head are non-issues, in which case they would not be documented. So I think it's easier than I thought it was. Anyway, so I may do this, I may not. I'm gonna wait on this one. And I guess the next thing I'm going to do is this one. So I'm going to set this one to started, because we started that shit. I got to remember where I put because I had this configured to record timestamps and record transaction, or record a log under each item, but I don't have that anymore. It's not doing that, so I don't know why. It may not be doing that because oh shit, I keep opening that. Let me search through this real quick and see. It's not there. Searching over here for something else. It's not there either. I had some project specific configuration to set that up, I guess, because I was testing it out, testing out the org to do log. I can't remember how I set it up, so I would kind of like it to do that. I can't remember. Damn it, I can't remember that. All right, so now I'm going to jump over here, and what I've been doing was so I'm migrating files one at a time. Here's like all the files. So I got to copy Workspace's audio to Lua, which I've already sort of done for some of these. But I'm not super familiar with Lua, so I'm doing this without being able to run it. So like I'm assuming like what's going to happen is I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to like probably comment most of these out, and then switch over, and then go back through and add them one at a time. But I would really like everything to be at least syntactically correct. And I want to sort of plan on like what regular expressions I might need to use to change things. And a lot of what I've done so far is like there's just like minor changes. Like gaps in did not have a underscore, now it does. So I could use a regex for that, or things like that, in case I get a lot like something wrong everywhere. As long as the text is arranged kind of the way that I want it to be. And there is a script that I've been using to help migrate. Pull that up real quick. It might actually be right here. Yeah. And it works all right. I don't know why it's not coming up, because it's, yeah, here it is. So this script works all right, but it does certain things, like it drops the descriptions, and I want the descriptions because, and I guess, do I want the descriptions? Because I don't actually have a Marchi. But on Marchi, I want the descriptions to be there because you can search, like, you can, there's a function that will, like, allow you to search the key bindings, which is useful, especially if, like, you're going to allow somebody to use your laptop or something, which I've done, and they had never used any kind of Linux at all, and they seemed to do all right with it, and I was able to sort of tell them, like, you know, do super alt space and look for the, you type learn and enter and then key bindings. You can search for any function you need to do, but only if the descriptions are in there. And I might want to actually, like, Marchi is going to migrate to using quick shell, so I'm assuming that a lot of stuff is going to change and I can no longer manage, it's going to be hard for me to keep the same key bindings on that laptop as my desktop. That's gonna be a problem, but it's not gonna be that big of a problem. But it is what it is. Using a Marchi is gonna help me. So, like, there's a community of people that's upgrading a set of dot files and managing, you know, the stability of the dot files. So, like, I can sort of stay tapped into that and get an idea of, like, what features would be good to add to my own dot files. So maybe doing that. Anyway, so what I had done was I'm running this watch exec command, and I'll pop in here. Oh, it's not in here. Oh, that's great. So I'm gonna pop this up and watch exec. Right, so this command will just, like, it allows you to rerun a process or a command whenever files that match certain file patterns change in your project. So this is, like, super handy. It's a little bit old school, but it works anywhere, pretty much, anywhere where you have this command. Another similar command is watch, and I don't really remember what the difference between watch and watch exec is. But I think it has to do with how it spawns the other process. So this is useful for, like LSOF. So I've done this before. But anyway, so you can like, you can start a process and watch the LSF output, and then you can actually get a delta. So, like, LSF just has a giant amount of output. The output's a little bit difficult to process. but you can watch the command output and look for the deltas, and it'll show you like red, green, like which file access is changing. You just have to make sure that you sort and unique the output, which takes some pre-processing. Other areas where this is useful is like watching IP routes or watching SS output. Let's see. So like, whoops. I think this will work. I don't think, like, so it worked. Let me go over here to get up or something. Yeah, so it's going to show like the changes. I guess it's not red, green. But in order to get that to work well, like you really need to be able to pipe. And then now if it's piped, then when I open a session to a new site, but now that it's sorted, pipe to sort, I can really kind of keep track of like what is changing, because I can guarantee that if it's sorted, that just like one chunk will change at a time usually. So that's like super handy. But what I'm going to use I'm going to use a similar approach to keep track of the and there's probably a linter or something that may be better. I don't know anything about Lua though, so. So I'm going to do it the old school way and just run this. There's a debounce rate. Let's see, debounce. And I've set it to 1 second. And the work directory is the Hyprland directory. We're watching Lua files. And then the command that it's going to run is, let me zoom in real quick. The command is Hyprland verify config -c. We're going to pipe it in here. And so we're just going to watch that, and it's going to process everything. It's going to tell us when something changes and it's broken, which is nice. So I've gone through here, and there's at least no syntax errors, which is like, that's half the battle. Anyway, so, and if I need to zoom in here, I can do that. So now I'm just going to sort of get started with this. Well, I guess I'll also get started with this, which is, shouldn't be starting 2 items at the same time. Oh my god. Anyway, so I had some problems with the syntax, right? Or the LSP configuration, because it was like, it was mainly just looking to see if I had used a certain word, and I wonder if it'll still do that. Oops. So let's say, like, it might still do this. Yeah, see, like, I gotta figure out how to configure this, because it's matching the text that's in the file. So I gotta figure out how to set the completion sources so that it doesn't do that. So I've used like window rule without an underscore is not valid anymore. And it tells me the source, but that's all I was getting. So that's not that helpful. And the reason that's all that I was getting was because, let's see, luarc, because this was a raw Nixos store link. And what's nice about this luarc is that, like, if this file doesn't exist, it doesn't care, which is awesome. So I changed that, and now the file will always exist, but it's a symlink. So now I'm actually getting useful autocomplete, which is great because there's just like a lot of like little things that are changing. And one thing that I had done, which I'll still probably use, was I had the stubs actually open. So this, right now I can search for, let's say, gaps. And it's pretty clear that that's going to have an underscore, which is useful. Because, yeah. And I wish I could get this for the WirePlumber, because WirePlumber allows for Lua scripts. But the WirePlumber build file, so I'm going to go ahead and add a frame to my tangent stack. Explain how WirePlumber could include Lua stubs, but why it probably won't. And it's because it needs dependencies. In order to generate those, even though like the WirePlumber build already works with all that information, but it's just probably not going to include that, which is a big sad, because we could all be, you know, driving flying cars and writing Lua scripts to manage our audio graph, and maybe in the future, I don't know. Anyway, so the next task here is to, find the next script that needs to be migrated, which is Blender. Blender's already done. It doesn't contain anything. Right, so I changed that file, and now it's going to tell me that I have a typo, which is great because I don't get an ag bar when I finally migrate. So now we're going to go to Blender, fix this. What the fuck? Oh. Oh. There we go. Alright. I guess there's still something audio. Line 17. Right. But audio keys does exist. Oh. Whoops. Yay. Alright. Move on. To Discord. Oops. We already have this. Oops, I gotta save this file. It says it works. Alright, move on to the next one. It says it works. I don't know why, because I know that one is not done. And I'll probably come back and clean this up later. To refactor it and have like actual functions and stuff. And I'm like prepping to use like outline mode. I don't know why. Why would it use Control C? That doesn't make any sense. Oh. Oh my god, I did it again. I'll try to do this really fast, but I like the outline mode to work. I don't have LSB loading everywhere, so I have like a Doom project mode that so I can only load LSB servers automatically for projects that I approve. That would be here. So I might want to add. I guess the best way to, no, I'll probably do this later. But outline mode is nice because for like Emacs-lisp, I can like search for outline. So I might have like tools. And it also gives me sections for iMenu. So I can jump up and down, and I can also use these to navigate by the comment structure. So, but in the past I haven't really been able to successfully set this up. But so basically the comment structure is set so that in the future I can use the outline minor mode. I kind of wonder if I just it's the regex. Oops. Ah, great. Why it has a line feed? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't work. I don't know. Anyway, go over here. I guess I gotta set up one workspace. And I'm just gonna copy and paste because I don't really care. That. Why would I launch Discord? That's what happens. Where did that go? Oh shit. I have no idea where that just went. That's great. Oh my god. All right, hold on. Is it this one? Dude, oh my god. Motherfucker. Okay, but did it close my Emacs? Where the fuck did it go? Oh boy. Somewhere there should be an extra Emacs thing. Alright, so Well, this is basically the same one. Just where the hell did that go, dude? Oh, I found it. It did go to the docs. Okay. This is the first place I checked. Alright, so there we go. Wow. Just like a little, maybe like 5 minutes. Alright, so found a problem. Oh, no, never mind. I'll come back and fix that later. I don't know what I would. Oh. Run that one. And it's not super alt, so it was so confusing. And it's definitely not that. Right, so basically got this. Oh boy. You know, like I could use LLM to do this, but it's I need to be aware of what got changed. Because you could use the best files in the universe. If you don't know what's in it, then it doesn't do you any good, because like there has to be a reflection of that information system in your brain in order for it to be useful. Like I can't hit keybinds that I don't know about. There might be some better way to get AI to, you know, to do things so that you don't actually have to hit buttons in order for it to happen. But you know, and generally you should be scripting and creating services, which is a lot of stuff that I don't really see in a lot of .files, and I do that'll be a good tangent. Check out repo. Anyway, so I might do that in a second. Referencing other .files for profit. We'll cover that in a little bit. All right, so successfully key bound 2 things. Isn't that great? All right, I got some of the rules float. Set the size and the workspace. Lines it up. Create the workspace. I'm lazy. A lot of this will probably change later, but I don't really have time. So I don't know what kind of border size. Is it like ideally like I could just like merge some of like if I use the right keys, then I can just merge the dictionaries or tables or whatever it is in Lua, and then like so like I could have w's docs.border size. I can merge that in here. And that way I'm not, like, it'll make refactoring later easier if I stick to those things. I don't really know. I don't really like doing so much configuration management with the .files because it doesn't really help a ton. Or whatever, it's like long and expensive. There's no real satisfying way to do configuration, to program configuration management, because you're basically not programming. It's like you find that you need some kind of like Kubernetes or Nixos in order to actually do it, which is like, it ends up being a giant problem. I was able to focus like so much better the other night. So we got those, I think. And we got the window rules, and then we should be done. Oh, docs monitor. Let's find out what that is. Toggle special. Oh, I can't toggle. I don't know if I can do that. I don't think you can put. Oh, let's see, did I do that? Where have I done that? I don't know if I can test that. I'm pretty sure it just doesn't do anything. IRC is not. It's IRC key. Oh, it does work. Okay. We do the workspace definition. Okay. All right. That is nice. It figures that out. That's great. Yep. Okay, so now when I open that, it'll pop up on that monitor. Okay, I can move it wherever I want. Right now, that just pops up Zeal. So I can search things. Figured out how to generate the GNU docs here. It doesn't really have syntax highlighting. And also generated these BIOS docs, which is super helpful. So now when I want to know something about Firehouse, I don't have to fucking open a browser, which is great. Very happy. Alright. Oh god damn it. Alright. I deleted it. I don't know what it. I'm just gonna move on. I'm gonna float and the size. And I think that's it. And workspace. And the correct class. Which I probably forgot to do on other ones. It's the class. Alright. And it says that there's no syntax errors, which is nice. So move on to the next one. I don't want to do .files yet. Let's move on to this work. And this is pretty much the same. So. Damn it. What the hell's wrong? Oh. Alright, so we gotta change it MOD3. And email is E for email. Oh, fuck. I didn't do that. I guess not. I'm not even using it. Oh, yeah. That's great. I guess I can do that later. I do that? Whoops. I thought my mic was muted the whole time. I guess my mic just mutes when I go to that. I thought the mic was muted the whole time. Ugh. I really don't like having a stream. I'll find out. I can hear me, right? That's nice. Okay. Alright. Alright, so we changed that. And launched. How would I launch? Oh shit. You can see Nixos is supposed to launch my email when I start, but it doesn't. Let me close that. Oh, well. Oh god. Oh good, we're right here. No, never mind. Fuck. And Nixos does not, it did that briefly, it would start Thunderbird, and now it doesn't. So I need to kind of remember to actually check my email. Whoa! How did we get there? What just happened? Go away. So now it will launch that. And if I... Oh, yeah. Alright, anyway. I'm trying to... Alright. Docs. So I like everything to be defined using things that I can match on match your regexes later. Go ahead and test this. That's why I did that. Because it doesn't create the separate. Oh well, it doesn't really, like, I wanted to have a separate window for mail and calendar. What is wrong with that? Oh. What? That's a string, right? Apparently Lua does not have a concept of classes. Did I not just do that? This would be so helpful and autocomplete everything, and I don't want it to do that. What's wrong with that? What? What the fuck, man? I don't see a dot anywhere. Okay, yeah, that's broken. Select calendar, this one, not that one. And that's what I want. so now I've got all the email rules set up so that my email pop-ups display the way that I want. Thunderbird includes a lot of pop-ups and windows, specific windows that need the title to match. So got that set up. I just need to get the border colors set. I got one more. We got right, select calendar, and then those two, and I guess I don't need that. I just need a window rule that will set. Let's be a window rule. Alright, so that should be done, except gradient angle needs to be a number. And I'm not using the Lua config right now, but I did change this, so just kind of want to test it out. It's still not going to a workspace though. But it should over here. I guess the text is too small or something. Anyway, so that looks like that's done. Moving on to the next one, IRC chat, which I'm not using right now. So I can demonstrate using the UVX script real quick. It just doesn't quite do what I want it to. So now we'll create that file and that over there, that over here. No, RC. I swear it better not tell me to match. And see, like, I mean, it did this, I mean, it did all right. But I'm gonna have to come through here and do everything anyways. So I would basically just rather have it just really do this. What modifier? Super alt. And then what else? Got that. I have no idea what I'm typing here. So we want to be special. See, I probably actually want this to be MOD3. So I'm going to change it over here. Why is this commented up? No idea. No. Because it's not special. But it doesn't launch anything. Doesn't launch anything. Make sure that's the same over here. Oh my god, I got it set up over here. I'm probably going to change my IRC approach, but I don't really want to use Emacs for everything, so I don't want Emacs to be in charge of IRC, but I do want an IRC bouncer. So now that I have a home lab, I can do that. Anyway, I'll just have to set up some firewall rules. Wherever that is. Yeah, so I'll just have to set up some like firewall rules for the IRC bouncer, which will probably go on a geek server. I'll do that eventually. Starting to get a little tired. It's like way too early to do that. That's what happens when I don't have ADHD medication, which my doctors just do not listen to me at all. It's kind of some bullshit. So I need to be able to finish this shit. It is kind of never ending, but I've accepted that. But I can't. Like, it's irritating. It's like so many projects will just never be finished, and by the time I get started working again, I can't fucking remember what I was working on when I last had ADHD medication. And it's just like, they will not ever fucking increase the dose, and it's like so fucking, it's life ruining. It's like, seriously, because I've been asking, like, and I've accounted for it. Like, there's been over 100 appointments where I'm like, can I increase the dose? And they'll never say never. Well, just say never. Just say, don't say no, just say never. And I'll get another doctor. It's like, seriously, the most irritating shit ever. And it's like, I've accounted for how much money I spend. Like, so, like 36 doctor's appointments per year now, up from 12 doctor's appointments per year. So with 12 doctor's appointments per year, it's like $150 an appointment. That's $2,000 plus 12 times 200 or 250 for medication. So that's like $3,000. So that's $5,000 a year for 12 doctor's appointments plus 12 months of medication. And it's just ridiculous how expensive it is. And then with some therapy that I'm like forced into, it ends up being like 12 times 150, that's 1,800 plus 12 times 2 times like $100 probably, that's an extra $2,400. So now we're up to $4,200 plus 12 times 200 for medication. So that's another $2,400. So now we're up to $6,000 or $7,000. I should be able to have one appointment per quarter, which itself would be life ruining. I mean, life not ruining, because I could actually have enough medication to be productive for long enough to stabilize on the medication, and then like I wouldn't like being on it for like 2 or 3 weeks or 3 weeks ish, and then being off of it for a week and a half. It's like really difficult to adjust, to go on and off and on and off and on and off. I have a hard time adjusting to it when I go on it, and I have a hard time adjusting to it when I go off of it. And so about a month of every, or a week of every month, I'm like unable to function. Not really unable to function. It would be different if I like had a job or had something to go to. It would still be difficult to deal with, but it, like, I don't really have anywhere to go during the day. But anyway, because of the state laws of Virginia, it ends up being like about $10,000 a year, when it, like, even with the prescription medications being $200 a month, it should end up being about $4,000 a year. And I'm on like Medicaid because I can't get a fucking job, and I can't get a job because they won't get my medication right. and it's life ruining because I should have had a job a long time ago, but I can't sustain focus for long enough to. Oh, I have a viewer now. So, hello. Anyways, it's kind of frustrating. I'm like starting to feel a little bit tired. But anyways. So anyways, I'm just importing all my workspace rules and window rules for IRC at this point. So I'm like working through this list of sourced files and pulling everything into Lua, and down here I'm running watch exec to check the verify the configuration syntax, because I don't know Lua that well. So I'm going to cut over at some point and be running everything from the Lua config. And yeah, so when I do that, I don't want to have too many unnecessary errors when I start up Hyprland. And what I'll probably do is just go in here and start with the basics, and then comment everything else out, and then just uncomment and test, and then uncomment and test until I figure out what I missed. I'm doing it manually because the AI could sort of do it, but I kind of want it to be deterministic, and they're like, I guess I could ask AI to like find good ways to refactor it, but like I need to be kind of aware of like what, like I can't hit hotkeys that I'm not aware of, so that's kind of the point of that. So I need to create some binds. I've got like a system where I can just like rename everything with regular expressions. So setting the key up here, and I've got this workspace name, and I'll just sort of replace that. And that's done, and so then this will launch the Quasal app. I just need to make sure. I don't know that I really want it to be floating, and I don't know why I have. Oh, right, because there's yeah. So some of the windows I do want to be floating, and some of them I want to be tiled. Some workspace rules. Match on these classes. To float sometimes, and then I want to tile sometimes. Don't really want to tile except for the pop-ups. Title, which is down there. I need to loop over that. Oops. I guess the application builds differently on different systems. So those are the ones I want to tile. Now that should tile everything that I need to be tiled, and then just do the same thing for the ones that do not want to tile. And I think that's pretty much got everything. Anyway, so let's see old school iPhones out. Right, so I think that is got everything. Oops. What is that not? No. Do not stage everything. Alright, yeah, so I'm probably good to quit now because I'm kind of tired. And this is a little bit easier to do when I'm not streaming. But anyway, this is... I don't know. It's not that bad to... It was a little bit easier to deal with changes in Hyprland, like 52 to 53 or whatever changed, like the match syntax over here. Like this was easier to do because I was able to like switch everything with the regex. There is the evdev command or whatever. But like I said, this command doesn't really like give me what I want for migrating everything. Like it's definitely super helpful because I can sort of get a feel for like what it should look like in a way. And now that I know that, it's much easier to fix everything else. And I guess I can go over the Marchi module structure real quick. Just got to sort of find where that was when I was looking at that. I had that open somewhere. Find it in a second. Fix the window. Oh boy. Like rept for some kind of lua. Rept for require. Here it is. Oh, oops. Anyway, I just wanted to figure out like what I wanted to prepare for Marchi's like upcoming changes. And I kind of want to integrate some of this functionality into my Nixos config. And I don't know anything about Lua, so this is actually a good way to sort of like learn how to write it or how to do fancy things with it. So one thing they do is there's like a bootstrap.lua file. This might open something somewhere. This image can be over here. Emacs is not doing that. It does it sometimes and then it stops, and I don't know why. It might happen when I update my Nexo system, because then if XTG, I think there's something cached in the Emacs server, and something happens at some point where it can't figure out how to do XDG open for a link. Anyway, this bootstrap.lua file has something to do with reloading modules, I think, for when MRT updates. So this is like fancy, like I guess like module module structure stuff. I don't really know, but it sets up like the module path basically. So, and then you get this hyper module namespace. And I think that that's how you're supposed to configure it, and it will probably say in config hyperland.lua, and because you get these hyper things down here, you get these modules. These are ones that you are in charge of, and you can see it's got instructions and some suggestions for how you should override their modules after they load. And so the bootstrap script is going to load. Can't quite remember when it loads, but it's basically going to be the first thing. Right here. It loads right here. It's the first thing to load in your config, right? So it's important. And then after that, after that it loads default.hyper.mrt, and then it's going to load hyper.monitors to load the rest of your files. But when it loads this one, it's going to start loading all of these. And hyper helpers is going to sort of give it some helpers for reloading modules and loading all the modules in a certain file path. So it gives you the reload all function, I guess. So that's helpful to know about, because Lua is like a little bit complicated. It's included in a lot of applications, and then but each application has its own like set of libraries that's going to load. It's going to have its own dynamic library that it loads. So like if I try to load some module that doesn't exist, like let's say I go up here, whoops, and load this, and I start the watch exec. Right, so then I'm going to save this, and it's going to complain, right? Because it's like it doesn't know it's looking for this module, doesn't know what it is, and it starts searching these file paths. So the first thing that MOD3 is going to do is it's going to like shim some extra paths in here for it to search, and then change how it tries to find that hyper module root, which means that you could put some extra files in .config that, well, I'm not 100% sure, but if you can add other module roots into OMRG. But anyway, so it's going to parse the modules that you have in here as though they are rooted at .config. It's not doing that for me, but this shows me how OMRG is going to search for different modules. So those modules could be defined in Lua files. Those modules could be compiled bindings for a C++ application. So each C++ or C application that includes a Lua interpreter is going to bundle one of these .so files. And so Lua is kind of complicated in that, like, and you can sort of get a sense of that if you start looking into Lua rocks, like some of the docs here. It doesn't really come out and tell you everything, but it's kind of implied that Lua has some special concerns when it comes to packaging applications, and this is kind of like the purpose of Lua rocks, is that it helps you manage your dependencies for different different end consumers of Lua scripts or Lua packages, so that you could have your development packages, your development environment sort of be set up to work on a different Lua, like a different distribution, a different applications distribution of Lua. So it's kind of complicated in that way. It's not like a lot of other applications. A lot of applications will bundle Python, and I would imagine that there's a lot of similar concerns or similar issues that you would run into. But Python is different, because like Python is all over this. Like you've got the system package, the system installation of Python, which is kind of like they have a path or something that tries to dissuade you from modifying your system Python installation. So like Lua doesn't have those system installation problems really. It has different issues where there's basically no Lua installation. And like the Lua process that runs is something that is like that the hosting application will initialize based on something that got built in a package that you installed. So like you will install a runtime that's built into the C++ application or the C application or whatever, and it initiates that Lua interpreter process. It passes information and data to it to tell it what to do. So it's going to pass your program to that process that it started, which that whole, like how that is set up is a little bit different for Lua than for other applications. It's a little bit confusing for me because I've never used any of them, so I don't know anything about Lua. I kind of wish I did, because Pipewire or Wire Plumber includes a Lua interpreter. And anyway, so it's a little bit about how Marchi is gonna like set up Hyprland for you. So it's gonna require all these packages, or all these modules, or yeah, all these modules, I guess. And then after this is done requiring all of these, then it's gonna start going through your stuff. So like I kind of want to know like how Marchi is designed so that I can replicate some of that over here on Nixos. I don't really, like I dabbled in sort of like importing some of the scripts directly from Marchi, but I knew it was not going to be easy to maintain when I started it. I just like, I wanted some scripts. I did that in the Nixos install here. Let's see, I've got packages, dots, Marchi scripts, package. I didn't really stick with this. I didn't really plan to stick with it, but I wanted to basically copy in some of these scripts because I looked at the source. I found out that I could do that. And like, I don't mind carrying around a knapsack full of patches or whatever, because like I can pin this, so like it doesn't really matter. I don't really necessarily want to patch these things, but I can pin this like revision of a Marchi. And so I'm getting some very old, I should probably update this. But I wanted to like pull in some of the screenshot functionality, which I did. I think that's still hooked up, but like I could take a screenshot and then edit it, and it's set up so that it runs. I think that's still set up. Let me see. I don't know where that's coming from. I might have actually changed it a little bit. I would have to find whatever that is. Let's see. Sati. What am I launching here? So it's a submap. It's doing this. Oh yeah, Yeah, so apparently I'm running a very old version of this, I think, unless I have a file. Because some of these I just added files directly into my .files to basically replicate or copy that functionality. And yeah, I guess I am doing that. We do the old cat witch. So yeah, so this is like a version of a Marchy command screenshot from a Marchy 2.3.2 or whatever, and that's what's happening. Is that I think, yeah, because of that the shebang is built in there, and it works. That's all I really care about. I mean, it kind of works. It's not perfect, but obviously it's a little bit difficult to maintain. But I mean, I guess it's difficult to maintain. Like, yeah, I have it pinned. It doesn't change. It works now. If I change it, I gotta look at it a little bit and figure it out. And it'd take like 10 minutes. So I just don't want it to change. Because they do some things or whatever that are nice, where like you can, like, if you pass nothing, it kind of does the thing that you want. You know, you might, if you click and the rectangle is not big enough, it's like, oh, they probably meant to click on the desktop or whatever. You click on the way bar, it's like, oh, they want the whole desktop. You click on a window, it's like, hey, I think there's a window there. It's gonna take a screenshot of the window. Stuff like that is nice. I don't really want to like copy it and just put it in my .files, because that's harder to maintain. Actually, I just need the code. And then I looked at how the code loads, and the code is like, a lot of these bash scripts are like kind of, there's not too many arch dependencies in there, so I don't have to really worry about that. It sets up like the environment that it expects to run in, so that it could run in lots of different environments, and it does that pretty well. So I can basically take little things here and there, and then and there is another project that is like Marchy Nixos, and see the migration to quick shell is a little bit wild. Marchy Nixos. Yeah, see, like this is like a pretty. Yeah, it's not really maintained right now, I don't think. This is a little ambitious. And it's difficult to maintain because it's intended for another distribution. That's why I would just like rather like figure out how the stuff is running, because I need to know that anyways. I need to know what the functionality is doing, which is one thing that I like about Marchy, is it shows you how to do a lot of like bash scripting and stuff that would other, like, you know, it's not perfect and some of it's LLM generated, but it's kind of like LLM can teach you a lot, I guess. So that's nice. I mean, I don't have to use it. I'm over here. Whatever. Oh boy, my gesticulation there is off, but I'm getting a lot of secondhand LLM, which is not like, these are secondhand tokens. They're next to nothing. I don't know what the hell. That's pretty awesome, right? And I don't necessarily have to directly use these guys, fucking suckers. Anyways, people are trying to establish token guilds, and like how do we share tokens and API keys so that we can keep going when we run out? And I'm like, I'll just read the source. I get free tokens. It's awesome, I guess. Or I learned to not use your project, which it's happened. Like, there's this one app, and it's not like, I don't really mean to be. It's called Vortex, and it's awesome, but you're gonna want to fucking look at how it's setting things up. and it does things fairly well, you know, but it's gonna want to put your passwords in the XDG config home. I don't want my passwords in the XDG config home. But it's also like effectively like a repository full of information about how to set up VPNs on a lot of different Linux distributions and systems, and for network manager and for systemd network or whatever. Like there's a lot of valuable information in here. I don't have to actually run Vortex in order to like get value out of that information. It could solve a lot of my problems, because like what I tend to do is I just search the source code. I gotta find like an empty place to do this. I can do it right. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so this guy's .files, and this guy's, oh right, there's like 200 .files in here. So I wanna know something about Lua. I go over here and copy this path because I'm lazy, and then I'm gonna like, oh, like I don't know anything about Lua. Damn it. Why does that not register as like $1? And like, look at this, 1,400 different references to Lua stuff in the context of .files. So I'm gonna move this up. All right. Yeah. So, and I can just sit here and sort of like, what is this? This is somebody's FCF. Oh, God damn it. Whose FCF is that? Is it their FCF? Are they using oil shell? Where's this image? Yeah, like, does this guy have oil shell? I don't know. Let's find out. No, I guess that's something else. This is like a cool project. It's pretty, I mean, it, like, I don't know that I would use it, but there's a lot of cool ideas in here. A lot of high quality artisanal tokens on this site here. Let's see if they got a site map. Nope. 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 Unless I typed that wrong. Oh. Anyway. So, yeah, I don't know what oil is for NVIDIA, so. But anyway, so I've got all these examples of scripts that I can look at. This guy sets out DAP, I guess, for NVIM. Oh shit. A lot of NVIM users. I tried to write some pipewire stuff. It didn't really work very well. Oh, this is a red buffer. Oh, nice. So I can just do this. Right? Okay, thank God. Yeah, I can just hit the O key. The O key is going to go direct file, find file of the window. And if I can hit V and Q to view it and jump back. So I don't need no file browser application. some people be committing the wrong files. I guess most of them not. But anyway, my Linux for work. I want to know how that works. Let's see. How do they set up the window rules? Oh, it's not very informative. But yeah. So I do this a lot and pay attention. This guy's got a ton of stubs and stuff for different applications. So that's been super helpful because he actually set up stubs for Pipewire. Whoops. I'm trying to keep that open. So yeah. One of these days, I try to get LLM to write some kind of Pipewire thing, and it was one of the most, or wire plumber script, and it just failed, you know. But it was a free account. I don't know. But that's something that I've always wanted to learn how to do. So like, how many of these are Hyprland? So we got N4, my Linux for work, Sahaj B, and probably a listener somewhere. So yeah, listener's got his Hyprland config here. So that looks fairly straightforward. And then some extra functionality there. So it's a good way to learn about stuff like yeah. Anyways, I'm probably just gonna hop off of here because I'm kind of tired. That's been informative or helpful for somebody else. It's probably hard to follow. It's probably not that hard to follow, but it just is what it is. Now I'm going to attempt to read this in Japanese. Hold on. I'm going to click the old live haishin o shuryo. Forgot how to say shuryo. It's like really easy to forget if you don't actually like write it out. So anyway, peace.